What's up, Falcons Nation? It's your boy Jew coming at you guys with another season of What's the Word, Dirty Bird. As you guys know, I normally do this in the off season, but I'm going to start doing live shows during the season, probably on Saturdays when I have a little bit of time to chat some Falcons football with you guys. But let's see who already is in the chat. Tonight, we're going to talk about tomorrow's game and matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And we're also going to talk about the truth about Desmond Ridder and our Atlanta Falcons tonight. So with that being said, we're going to jump into the chat. But if you already are in the chat, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button for your boy. Share this content out to as many people as possible. Share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, Instagram. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. You can follow your boy on Instagram and also on Twitter at Jew Talk Sports. But I appreciate each and every one of you guys. And first in the chat tonight is DirtyBird for life. What's going on, man? He says, "What up, Jew? We need to start running some crossing routes, especially with some of our speedy receivers with Bijan, Dez, and Bijan. Need to get that wheel route going. Most definitely. Yeah, I definitely think that that's something that we definitely going to see some interesting things. You guys know we added Demir Bird back to this team. We added Van Jefferson recently. So I definitely think that the Falcons are doing the right thing by adding some guys that have speed to create that speed element on this team outside of our big physical wide receivers that can go up and high point the football. And my boy Big Ant, what's going on? He says, Juju on that beat. Yeah, man, I appreciate you doing it. Shout out to AFN. Y'all definitely go over and hit that subscribe button. They just hit 3,000 subs on AFN. So shouts out to AFN. What's going on? This is 1/3 of the heavy hitters. My bro K Style says the minister in the building. Yeah, most definitely. What's going on, man? I appreciate y'all supporting as always. And my brother Mad Mike said a calm before the storm. Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, this is gonna get real in the chat today. I definitely want to talk about Desmond Ridder and definitely want to talk about this Atlanta Falcons team because as we know over the last couple of weeks, I've been seeing a lot of different things, a lot of different videos. Shout out to all the content creators that are out there making Atlanta Falcons content or just making content in general. I love hearing other content creators' perspective. I love hearing the fans' perspective. So you guys definitely jump into the chat. At some point in the show, I might even drop the link and let you guys come in and talk a little bit as well if you guys want to chat for a little bit as well. But we'll see how many we can get in here. But right now, I appreciate each and every one of you guys who has joined so far. But with that being said, we're gonna jump into the first topic, which basically is the topic of the night or this evening, which is the truth about Desmond Ridder and the truth about the Atlanta Falcons. So as you guys know, we've heard a lot of things about Desmond Ridder not being it, Desmond Ridder not being a starting caliber quarterback. A lot of fans believe that Desmond Ridder, he's not the answer as far as being the franchise quarterback for our Atlanta Falcons. And I kind of just went and looked at some numbers in regards to, first year quarterbacks or first year starting quarterbacks, because quote unquote, a lot of people are saying that Desmond Ridder isn't a rookie, which technically he isn't a rookie, but he still is a first time starting quarterback. So I did go and crunch some numbers and things of that nature. So I'm gonna take a look here. I took down some notes here about first year starting quarterbacks. And Desmond Ridder, as you guys know, so far I believe he has 6 passing touchdowns this season and 6 interceptions. So I did go do some research on my own time, as we always talk about the stats, the facts, and the truth about football in general, about quarterbacks, about whatever topic we're talking about, because I don't like to just make blanket statements. I like to kind of do my research, look at the numbers, look at what I see with my eyes when I watch the game. And not just go with the public perception, because I know the media, ESPN, a lot of the Fox Sports 1, they push a lot of different narratives, but they don't put out, the information as far as the stats. They don't look at the things that are right there concrete in front of them. They pretty much give their feelings about a lot of things. And personally, I don't mind people, choosing to use their feelings, but personally, I go with facts over feelings. So I just took a look at over the last couple decades, the quarterbacks that we thought, in this last couple decades, that's been the better quarterbacks of our generation that we've watched. I'll say within the last 20 years, and I just looked at their stats from their first year as starters. So the first quarterback that we should know very well as Atlanta Falcons fans, because he was an arch rival for our Atlanta Falcons and played for the New Orleans Saints, is Drew Brees. So his first season as a starter, Drew Brees threw 17 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. He passed for 3,284 passing yards, and his record for his team was 8-8 his first season. As you guys know, he started his career with the San Diego Chargers. Him and LaDainian Tomlinson. But his first couple seasons, if you go look at his stats, I look like at his first 3 seasons for all of these quarterbacks. And these would be the quarterbacks that, we would claim are going to be, bona fide Hall of Famers. All of the guys that I have on this list, when I looked up their stats, his first year quarterbacks as first time starters, all of the guys that I'm going to mention won Super Bowls. So Drew Brees was the first guy. As we know, he didn't end up staying with the San Diego Chargers. I believe he had a shoulder injury, and eventually they moved on from him to Phillip Rivers, and he became the legendary New Orleans Saints quarterback. But they said the same thing. The Chargers thought that because of that injury that he wasn't the answer there in San Diego, and he ended up winning the Saints their first Super Bowl trophy. The second quarterback on this list, well known as well, known as the Sheriff, Peyton Manning. So Peyton Manning in his first season as a starter, 26 touchdowns, 28 interceptions, passing yards, 3,739 yards passing, team record 3-13 as a rookie. So that just goes to show you. And I believe Peyton Manning, if I'm not mistaken, was the first person drafted in his draft, if I'm not mistaken. But we know he later on became, one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game, if not the greatest quarterback of all time. And then the next guy on this list, which I mentioned, Drew Brees, we know he's going to be a bona fide Hall of Famer. Peyton Manning is going to go into the Hall of Fame when it's all said and done, if he's not already in the Hall of Fame. And then Ben Roethlisberger, he was the next guy that was on this list. 17 touchdowns, 11 interceptions in his rookie season or his first year starting. Yards passing, 2,621 yards passing. Team record 13-0 was his record as a rookie or his first time starting in the NFL. As we know, when Ben Roethlisberger came into the league, he wasn't a guy that they relied upon to be a guy to actually pass the ball. They had Jerome Bettis, they had Willie Parker running the football. The Pittsburgh Steelers are known for their defense and running the football. So they didn't rely on Ben Roethlisberger to be that guy to pass the ball down the field early in his career. And he was one of those guys that developed into that franchise guy that could pass the ball when they had Antonio Brown, when they later on went out and got guys like Mike Wallace, and they went out and added those weapons on the outside. He played with Santonio Holmes when they won the Super Bowl against the Cardinals. So he was another guy that kind of developed into, that Hall of Fame type quarterback, that guy that they can rely upon in crucial situations. But early on in his career, they built the team around him, similar to what we've done here in Atlanta, and they allowed that guy to develop. So Ben Roethlisberger is definitely, to me, hands down, he'll be a guy that will be in the Hall of Fame as well. And then the last guy on this list, outside of our former quarterback for our Atlanta Falcons, is Tom Brady, our arch nemesis. Beat us in the Super Bowl in 2016. And we all, everybody basically calls him the GOAT, the greatest quarterback of all time. Personally, I don't think that he's the greatest, but I'll say he's the greatest winning quarterback of all time. He probably had the best career out of all of the guys that I named just by how many Super Bowls he won. But I don't feel like he was the most talented quarterback. I believe guys like Pat Mahomes are more talented. I believe that Peyton Manning was a more talented quarterback as well. But with that being said, Tom Brady in his first season, which was in 2001 when Drew Bledsoe went down with injury, 18 touchdown passes, 12 interceptions, yards passing, 2,000 yards, passing, 2,843 yards passing, and then team record 11-3. And I believe that was the year that the Patriots won the Super Bowl. Was in 2001. They won their first Super Bowl, and Tom Brady was one of the he was basically a first-time starter, but they kind of relied on that defense. They leaned on guys like Teddy Bruschi, Willie McGinnis. If you guys remember, Ty Law, they had a really good defense, and they had a really good running game, and they really didn't rely on Tom Brady being that guy to go out and win games. He was just asked to manage games. And then the last guy on this list is Matt Ryan, our former quarterback, franchise quarterback. To me, is a bona fide Hall of Famer as well. The MVP in 2016, led our Falcons to the Super Bowl in 2016, Offensive Player of the Year in that 2016 season. And in his rookie year, 16 touchdown passes, 11 interceptions, yards passing, 3,440 yards passing in his rookie season. And he had a team record 11-5. And I believe we won the division in his rookie year. But we had guys like Michael Turner on that team. We had guys like Roddy White on that team. We had a veteran offensive line, had a solid defense. But they really didn't rely upon Matt Ryan. We know Matt Ryan to be a guy who throws for 30 touchdowns in the season religiously, throws for 4,000 passing yards. I believe he had 10 straight seasons where he passed for over 4,000 passing yards. So it just goes to show you, like, all of those guys that I just named, all of those guys are bona fide Hall of Famers. But just looking at the actual list that we have here with those guys that I named, if you just think about it, the main thing or the truth about all of those guys that I just named is they needed time to develop. And that's what I keep telling all of the Falcons fans that are saying Desmond Ridder is not the answer. I really feel like we have to give him time to develop. All of those guys that I just named, nobody was saying that those guys after their first year starting or halfway through the season, 6 games into their first year starting, that those guys weren't it. Whether they had a losing record like Peyton Manning with 3-13 in his first season, whether it was Matt Ryan who led us to the playoffs, in the first year of his starting, with all of those guys, they needed time to develop. And I really feel like that's the biggest issue right now with Desmond Ridder. We seen last week he made rookie mistakes in that first game. In the 6th game, but he had a bad game, an up and down game last week against the Commanders, throwing 3 interceptions, made some rookie mistakes, made some big mistakes throwing the ball, lobbing the ball up in the end zone, in the red zone, where we gave up points, or we could have easily had a field goal in that situation. But what I want you guys to do is give this guy a chance. Be patient, because when it's all said and done, I really think that Desmond Ridder has a chance to be a really good quarterback. But what I keep saying is we don't know what he is yet. So just let it play out. Right now, he's a guy that's developing. He's in the process of becoming whatever he's going to actually be, whether that's a franchise quarterback, whether that's a career backup. We got to give this guy a chance to develop. And I really feel like it's going to take at least 2 full seasons for us to really know, if Desmond Ridder is the guy. I know a lot of people want to speed that process up, but I really feel like we don't really know at this point what Desmond Ridder is going to be. So with that being said, with my first little soliloquy, I do want to jump back in the chat because I see some super chats that I want to get to. And then I also want to jump in the chat and say what's up to some more people that's joined. So shouts out to DirtyBird for life with the $2 super chat. He says, how can we get the running game going consistently? And that's a good question. I really feel like to get this running game going, and I appreciate the super chat, DirtyBird for life. We're really going to have to, I really feel like we're going to have to open up the offensive playbook. And we've seen that over the last couple of weeks. And you've seen us add guys like Demir Bird and Van Jefferson. The way that you open up the running game or create more space in the box where teams can't drop 8 and 9 guys in the box is have guys that can challenge these safeties and these corners deep. You got to throw the ball deep. You got to throw the ball further down the field other than 10 to 15 yards down the field. If you keep doing these little check downs and slants and things of that nature, it's going to be hard to open up the running game and open up those running lanes. So I really feel like some of the issues with this Atlanta Falcons team is we're not seeing the proper spacing out there on the field. And then we don't have guys that's running deep routes. All of our routes are being ran within 10 to 15 yards down the field. So a lot of teams are just sitting on these routes. And I've been saying that for the last couple of weeks. It's like, you're going to have to get Scotty Miller involved. You're going to have to get guys like Demir Bird, Van Jefferson, you're going to have to allow these guys to go deep. Even the Mac Hollins of the world, even the Drake Londons, even though those guys are not super fast like Drake London, we've seen him make a couple plays down the field, 30, 40 yards down the field, where he's just going up and high pointing the ball. You don't have to be have blazing speed to throw the ball down the field and stretch the field. Guys like Kyle Pitts, he can stretch the field as well at that tight end position. Guys like Jonnu Smith, he's another guy that can stretch the field, even though he's not the fastest guy. Those guys are good athletes as tight ends. And against linebackers and safeties, Kyle Pitts is more athletic than most safeties and most corners at his size at 6'6". So I definitely think if we want to open up the running game, we're going to have to pass the ball a little bit more deeper down the field. And then I also think that we're going to have to go back into that pistol formation and run a little bit more stretch zone runs. I really feel like those stretch zone runs open up lanes, and we have good running backs with good vision, guys that are patient and they wait for holes to open up. And we know that Bijan Robinson is one of those guys that's special as far as his vision. So I definitely think that those are two things that the Falcons can do. Run the ball a little bit more on those stretch zone plays where we can open up different holes where the running back has more than one gap to read. And then also stretch the field, throw the ball down deeper down the field. And shouts out to the wife in the chat. She says, you just went crazy with the last stats. Jews reports. I appreciate it with a $2 super chat. I appreciate that super chat. And shouts out to the wife. And let's see who else didn't join here because I see a couple people that jumped in. So let me see if I can click on it. What's going on? Yasuke Knight. He said, hey, Jew, what's going on, man? Wavy 2 times says Matt Ryan kind of hinted at the fact that Dez should have played earlier in the season last year. Most definitely. I mean, I don't have a problem with the amount of games that he played last season. I definitely think that that Desmond Ridder could have played a little bit earlier, but at the same time, I understand why they kind of kept him on the bench because Mariota, we was kind of like in that 500 range for the most part in the first half of the season. So it wasn't until after that Carolina Panthers game, I think this thing started to go downhill for Marcus Mariota. He started to lose his confidence. And at that point, they had no other choice but to bench Marcus Mariota because of the mistakes that he was making. Because he was a veteran guy, a veteran quarterback, he was still out there making some of those rookie mistakes I was talking about that we've seen Ridder make. So at that point, they kind of had to move on and they kind of had to see what they had. And then, of course, Mariota also stated that he had an injury, a knee injury. So either way it went, whether he got benched or not, it looked like it was going to be Desmond Ridder, those last 4 games of the season. But I think they did the right thing to, all of the games that we played, even with Marcus Mariota for the most part, outside of the game against the Bengals, pretty much every game was competitive. So I understand why they kind of stuck it out with Marcus Mariota early in the season. And let me scroll back up here because I've seen a couple more people join. So what's going on? John Higgins III says, hey, Jew, can't stay. Got grands with me today. Drop in to say hello. I appreciate you dropping in, man. And enjoy the grands. Enjoy the grandkids, man. I appreciate you joining. And Grady Beatty 81 says, I was determined not to listen to another content creator to after the game, but I made an exception for you. It's been too much Falcon and Falcon hate, Falcon on Falcon hate all week. Most definitely. Yeah, I don't believe in hating on other Falcon content creators. And to be honest, we just like to challenge your thinking. Personally, just speaking for myself, me, Mike, K Styles, all of the guys, man, AFN, and just speaking for myself, I like to challenge fans' thinking. If you're, stating something or putting something out there, this your personal feelings about the Atlanta Falcons, your personal feelings about Desmond Ridder. I like to get guys and gals, get the fans' perspective of why they think the way they think. I don't mind people stating that Desmond Ridder isn't it. But if you're going to say that he isn't it, then give me reasons of why you feel that way. That's kind of how I feel about it. And you don't have to prove anything to me, but personally, I like to try to get the casual fan to think deeper than the surface, look deeper than just what's on surface level. It's easy to look at wins and losses and say, okay, this guy isn't it because we're not winning games, we're not dominating games. But I want to kind of make you think and want to hear more about why. I want to have some dialogue and figure out, okay, if you think that way, as when you were in school, how they say show your work. Maybe that's why I'm married to a teacher, because I like to see fans show their work and give me reasons of why they feel the way they feel. Don't just say I feel this way and then don't provide me with proof, stats, facts, or just give me some type of reason of why you feel that way. You could just say I don't feel like he is because I don't see it. If that's how you feel, I'm cool with that, and I respect everybody's perspective. You don't have to agree with me, and I really feel like the heavy hitters, me, Mad Mike, K Styles, we feel the same way. We don't always agree on everything, but we're open to hear from the casual fan of what you guys feel, because at the end of the day, we all just casual fans. When I put out stuff on my channel, it's basically what I feel about it in some instances. So if you feel like Desmond Ridder is not the guy, I really feel like we all need to become one as Atlanta Falcons Nation, fans of the Atlanta Falcons. At the end of the day, I feel like we all want to see the team succeed at the end of the day. So pretty much that's all I care about. As long as nobody's taking it personal, as long as no one's threatening nobody else, outside of the content creating world, then I'm all for it. Let's see here. And shouts out to Michael Walker, man. He said, "What's up, man? I appreciate you joining this afternoon as well." And Ultra Shadow 97 says Dez should have started after the Panthers game. Yeah, that's what I feel like. And that last season, after that Panthers game, Marcus Mariota showed us that he had lost all his confidence. So with that being said, it was a wrap pretty much after that. And shouts out to my brother. Says Falcons fan showed you some showed you some super chat love. Buy him a Popeyes biscuit. And that's funny. Most definitely. Yasuke Knight says every young quarterback has to go through growing pains in this league. Most definitely. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about a little bit when I was throwing those quick stats out to you guys. Like every quarterback, you can't skip processes. If you want to see the Falcons win a Super Bowl, if you want the Falcons to continue to improve, it's steps to making preparation to winning. So at the end of the day, we can't skip past the process of Desmond Ridder being a first-time starter, him making mistakes. And personally, I feel like, on-the-job training, personally, I feel like that's the best way to learn as a quarterback. You can learn only so much on the bench. But once you actually get out there and it's your team and you're giving the keys to the car, then you can really see what a quarterback or a player is made of. And we're seeing that with Jordan Love. To me, Jordan Love is kind of in the same boat as a Desmond Ridder. Even though he's been sitting behind Aaron Rodgers for 3 or 4 years, it's like nobody know what this dude is. And that's because in practice, if you guys are not familiar with how practices work for the NFL, if you're a second string quarterback, you're not getting a whole lot of reps. So a guy like Taylor Heineke on our Atlanta Falcons team, he's not getting a lot of reps with the Falcons starters and stuff like that. He's running a scout team and doing different things like that and making sure Desmond Ridder helping him prepare for the week. But he's not really taking a lot of the game plan. He knows what the game plan is, but he's not going through when they're doing red zone and doing all of those different things to prepare for the game. Usually that backup quarterback, he's only getting so many snaps. Desmond Ridder is taking most of those snaps with the starters. So a lot of the times, those guys that are backups, like a Jordan Love, when he was backing up Aaron Rodgers, he was doing a lot of holding clipboards and watching and stuff like that. He wasn't getting the opportunity to develop chemistry with those guys, throwing routes and stuff like that. He may get, one or two, maybe 10% of the snaps where you got the starter getting 90% of the snaps to prepare for Sunday. So it's really hard when you're a backup to kind of, gauge how good a player is as the backup. Until you get a chance to actually go out there when the bright lights are on Sunday, that's the only time you're going to really know how good a player is. So even with Jordan Love, how I'm saying give Desmond Ridder a chance, I feel like with the Packers, they can't really move on, to me personally, from Jordan Love after this one season, because when we played against them, Jordan Love played pretty well. So I really still don't know what Jordan Love is. To me, he hasn't started enough games for me to say that he's not it. So I really feel like the purpose of drafting a quarterback high is to actually play him at some point. You don't have to start him his first season, but I definitely think within the first 2 years, you want to start giving that guy snaps, because if you look at the Packers, they're in a situation where I believe Jordan Love is up for like a new contract, and he pretty much sat his whole rookie year. So it was basically no reason for the Packers to draft him. They wasted the draft pick pretty much. And let's see here. And shouts out to Ali. He says, what's going on? I believe that for me, Dez is the person for us, despite playing in the last few games last season and playing now for this season. There's still some learning curves for him. Most definitely. And that's what I want to get the casual fan to realize. It's like, let's just be real. At this point, this dude is a rookie or a first year starter. We don't know what he is. To me, he's playing average ball. If you're 3-3, you're average. Last year we were 2-2. This year we're 3-3. So across the board, it's like basically he's just average. He's 500. So we really don't know how good he is. And to me, we won't know how good he is until we let this full season play out, and then probably let another full season play out next season. So even if he gets to like the playoffs this year, we still don't know how good he is, because every player takes a leap from that rookie or that first year starting to that next year. You keep building, keep building, keep building. So at this point, Desmond Ridder is one of those guys where we don't know what he is. That's why I don't say that he's it, and I'm not going to say that he's not it. I just feel like we can't judge a book by its cover. We can't look at, well, okay, he doesn't have a big arm, or well, he's not, fast like a Michael Vick. He doesn't have that same lightning speed like a Michael Vick. You got to get a man a chance, because we really don't know. And to be honest, it doesn't take a Michael Vick type of speed to win a Super Bowl. It doesn't take a guy with an arm like Patrick Mahomes to win Super Bowls. We've seen guys like Brad Johnson with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win a Super Bowl. We've seen the backups like Nick Foles win Super Bowl, go on that Super Bowl run. We've seen teams that build their teams the right way. We've seen Tom Brady in his first Super Bowl. He wasn't the Tom Brady of his last Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady in his first Super Bowl was basically a game manager. And if we be honest, he was a backup for Drew Bledsoe the year that they won the Super Bowl. He didn't go into that season as the starter. So we gotta be patient. We gotta be patient. Dre the Boxer says, did Jalen Hurts look any better than this his first year in Philly? Because I remember everybody being very worried about that position going into week 7. Sounds crazy now, right? Exactly. I made this same statement, Dre the Boxer, on Twitter, and they was ready to stone me on Twitter because I said that I can't make the assumption that Desmond Ridder is not it, because I remember when Philadelphia, after that first full season of Jalen Hurts starting, they played against Tampa Bay, I believe, in the wild card round, and they got blown off the field, and everybody was saying Jalen Hurts can't throw, he can't read defenses, he's not it. We need to possibly find another quarterback. And then the next season, as I talked about taking that leap, the next season he took that leap, and that was that was last season when they went to the Super Bowl, and he was the runner-up for the MVP. So like we're saying, like, we don't know. We got to give this man an opportunity. We don't know how good he can be until we give him the chance to continue to build and to continue to develop chemistry. I keep talking about chemistry is very important. A lot of these guys are new to this Falcons team. Remember, Desmond Ridder didn't play with Kyle Pitts last year. When he started, Kyle Pitts was already injured. He didn't play with Jonnu Smith. He didn't play with Scotty Miller. He didn't play with a lot of these guys that we have. Van Jefferson. The only guy he really played with last year that's still on this roster that he was throwing the ball to is Tyler Algier and Drake London. Those was pretty much the only two guys. And now we brought back DirtyBird. So he played a little bit with DirtyBird last year. But outside of those three guys, he's basically throwing to all new pass catchers. So it takes time to build that chemistry. It takes time for guys to understand how he wants them to run routes. It takes time for him to understand the receivers and tight ends and running backs' body language, that when they do this, they're getting ready to break on their route. When they do that, it takes time. That takes practice. That takes time in the off season with those guys going, and going to empty fields and, doing passing practice with each other, doing like 7-on-7s and things of that nature. It takes time for those guys to build that rapport. So I really feel like we're not going to really know. And that's why I keep telling you guys, we're not going to know what Desmond Ridder is until you give him time. You're going to have to let him, let it keep building. DirtyBird for life says Ridder definitely has the talent and leadership ability. He just needs time to grow. If he cuts down on the interceptions, he'll be good to go. The defense is another better than it has been. Yeah, the defense has been doing their job. I mean, they're keeping us in games. And to be honest, Desmond Ridder to me only had one bad game for the most part, and that was last week's game. I mean, the game against the Jaguars, it was what it was, but to me, that was more play calling, and the Jacksonville Jaguars just had our number. And then in that game in Detroit, Detroit pretty much just beat us on every on all phases. They beat us on the defense. They controlled the trenches on the defensive line, offensive line, and then they made plays against our defense. So at the end of the day, they just beat us all the way around. But if you look at the teams that actually have beaten us so far, it's encouraging because a lot of the teams that we've lost to are playing well. Jacksonville just beat up on New Orleans in New Orleans. We know how hard it is to play in New Orleans, and they just went in there on Thursday night and did a demolition job on those guys. And then they are looking really good with a winning record. The only team that actually we lost to that I was disappointed in was last week's game against the Commanders. Outside of that, the Jacksonville Jaguars are looking really good. And Detroit, I think, is 5-1 right now. So both of those teams are going to be playoff teams and probably going to win their divisions respectively. So if we end up being a team that wins this division, I definitely think that we'll possibly see Detroit again. And then if we get even further, and if Jacksonville somehow makes the Super Bowl or something like that, we could see them later down the road as well if this team somehow puts it together. But I definitely think that the teams that we've lost to, we haven't really lost to any bums. Like every team that we've pretty much lost to, the NFL is a week-to-week type of league. We just seen the Eagles lose to the Jets last week. So yeah, it's a week-to-week type of league. Here go the question right here. Call me Wit. He says, is the question is Desmond Ridder good enough to get Atlanta to the bowl? I definitely think he is. I mean, we don't know that yet. We got to wait and see. But I think he has the skill set. I mean, from what I've seen so far, he can make every pass. From what I've seen, he looks like he's a leader out there. But I feel like we still got to wait and see. Like we don't know if he can get us to a Super Bowl or not. But I wouldn't underestimate him. I really feel like a lot of people are underestimating him. And I believe that's my cousin, man. If that's my cousin, man, let me know if that's you. I believe they call me Wit. I believe that's my cousin in the chat. So shouts out to you, man. Y'all go check him out on TikTok. He's a Dallas Cowboys fan, but he puts out NFL content. But I appreciate you joining, bro. Let's see. MVGZ says good on a day. He's a better quarterback than the rest in the NFC South, my opinion. On a good day. Oh yeah, I mean I agree. On a good day, I mean to me the quarterbacks in our division are average. Like the Matt Ryans, the Drew Breeses are going, the Tom Brady's are going. Now it's this division is a bunch of young guys. We don't know what none of these guys on the NFL level are going to be. Bryce Young with Carolina, Derek Carr, to me, he's just average. Desmond Ridder right now, he's looking average. So we really don't know. And then Baker Mayfield has always been pretty much just an average quarterback. So at this point, I definitely think that Desmond Ridder can throw his hat in there to possibly be one of the better quarterbacks in this division moving forward. And Matt Mike says, no one player is good enough. It's a team game. Aaron hasn't been back to the Super Bowl in 7+ years. That's the point. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely takes a team to win, especially in the NFL. And that's why I love the NFL so much, is that in the NFL, you really can't even stack your team to win a Super Bowl. We've seen teams that, stack up, stack players and don't have success. We remember the Eagles saying they had a dream team with Vince Young and all of that talent that they had, Asante Samuels and Shady McCoy, Michael Vick. They had a roster. But at the end of the day, you still got to gel and you still got to be a cohesive unit. And then in the NFL, injuries are going to take place at some point. So no matter how much talent you have, you got to be cohesive. And then you never know when the injury bug is going to hit your team. And that's usually what, determines who's going to win the Super Bowl, who's going to lose the Super Bowl. We literally seen that with the Kansas City Chiefs that year that they went up against the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl. When they lost both of their tackles during the playoffs, So they was out without their right tackle and their left tackle in the Super Bowl, which I don't care what nobody says. That Buccaneers team ain't dominating that Chiefs team the way that they dominated them in that Super Bowl if they had both of their tackles. Patrick Mahomes was basically running for his life. But I really feel like if he had his starters, his starting offensive lineman, his right tackle and left tackle, they don't get beat and get dominated on the line of scrimmage like that. And shouts out to my bro VA. He said, "What's good, bro? Man, I appreciate you joining." And Ali says he has to keep going mindset, especially since he has thrown multiple plays to our top players, London, Janu, Robinson, Hollins, and Pitts. Both week 1 and week 5 were his best ones this season. Yeah, most definitely. I mean, like I said, he definitely looks like a guy that's trending in the right direction. We won't know until we let it play out. But so far, I'm impressed from what I've seen just out of his demeanor. He seems like a guy had a bad game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, or he didn't play his best. Came back the next week, 300 yards passing, and we won the game. And then he came back last week with another 300-yard passing game, even though it was in a loss. Let's see here. And what's going on, ATLN? He says must win, and I think he's talking about the next topic. So let's go ahead and get into that next topic because we almost at an hour. We're about 35 minutes into the show, so let's go ahead and talk about the next topic, which is Falcons versus Bucks pre-game thoughts, and give my keys to this game. So as you guys know, right now, this game tomorrow is going to be a big game because it's a division game. This is going to be a huge game for our Atlanta Falcons between us and the Bucks. Right now, we're sitting at 1-0, and I definitely think that it's going to be crucial for us in this game to come out with a win. If we win this game, it's worth like double if we can get this win. We know we have 2 games against the Buccaneers for the division, to play for the division. And this is going to be a huge game. I definitely think in this game, if we're able to win this game on the road, it's going to be huge because Desmond Ridder hasn't won a game so far on the road early in his young career. And I believe if the Falcons win this game, this would be a huge momentum boost because at that point, we're sitting at the top of the division and we'll be 2-0 in the NFC South at that point. So I definitely think that this is going to be a huge game for us. And I definitely think that we have a chance to win this game. Now, some keys to this game, and I talked about this a little bit on Wednesday night on the Heavy Hitter Show. The first thing is going to be stopping those 2 wide receivers, both Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Those guys, we have to stop those guys in this game. We have to limit those guys. They're going to make catches at times, but we can't we got to expect, or we can't allow them to get explosive plays. We can't allow those 50-yard bombs, 30-yard bombs down the field. We can't afford to give up those quick touchdown throws. And I really feel like in this game, if you watch the Buccaneers and the way that they've been playing so far this season, it's been a lot of quick passes, get the ball out of Baker Mayfield's hands as fast as possible. And I definitely think that that's going to be the key to this game, is not allowing Baker Mayfield to get the ball out of his hands as fast as he wants to, make him hold on to the ball a little bit longer. And that'll be Jeff Okudah and AJ Terrell. I feel like they're the keys to this game as far as them playing that press man coverage and allowing Grady Jarrett, Onyemata, Bud Dupree, allowing those guys to get home. If you press up on these guys on the outside, don't allow Baker Mayfield to get that ball out of his hands quick, and don't allow them to have that timing, because we know those quick slant routes and those quick routes that they like to run, it's all timing routes. Baker Mayfield wants the 3-step drop. When that back foot hit, he want to be letting that ball go. In this game, we want him to have to double clutch and pull the ball down because we're covering guys. And if we look at last week's game, the reason we got 5 sacks in last week's games, a lot of those sacks were coverage sacks, where when they showed the all 22, film and on the replays, nobody was open. Like AJ Terrell, D. Alford, Jeff Okudah, Jesse Bates, all of those guys were smothering those wide receivers and tight ends last week. So it really wasn't nobody to throw the ball to. So they had to pull the ball down, and that's why we had Grady Jarrett get a sack. We had AK get a sack. We had Calais Campbell get his 100th sack of his career. Bud Dupree got a sack. I mean, pretty much everybody in the rotation got a sack last week against Sam Howell, the Washington Commanders, because we made him pull the ball back down. So I think that that's going to be huge in this game, and that's kind of the first key to victory in this game is going to be press up on those wide receivers. Don't allow them free releases. Don't allow them to get those timing routes going and get that rhythm. If you make them pull the ball, make Baker Mayfield pump fake and pull that ball back down and allow those guys on that defensive line to get home. If we do that in this game, I really feel like you'll make it tough on them because we know our Falcons are one of the best teams in the league right now at shutting down the run. So if we can shut down the run, and the Buccaneers haven't been a good team running the ball this season, I really feel like we can make them one-dimensional. And if this becomes a game where it's one-dimensional and they can't run the ball, I really feel like we can force Baker Mayfield into a couple turnovers because we know, even though he hasn't thrown a lot of interceptions this year, it's because it's been a lot of dump-offs, quick passes, get the ball out of his hands, but we're not forcing him to throw the ball down the field. But I feel like this Falcons defense, we probably one of the better defenses that they played this season. And if you watched the game last week against Detroit and the Buccaneers, Detroit did a really good job of smothering those wide receivers. And, they have Aiden Hutchinson and those guys. They got after Baker Mayfield last week. And let's see here. Now, my second key to victory in this game, just looking at our Atlanta Falcons, and I mentioned this as well, I really feel like in this game, we're also going to have to get our running game going. In this game, we know the Buccaneers, they have one of the better defenses in the league as well. And I talked about their two linebackers, Levante David. He's one of those guys, him and Devin White, those guys like to blitz. Those guys like to come downhill. In this game, I really feel like it's important that we run the ball and be physical. Don't allow them to pin their ears back. Vita Vea, they got a really, really good defensive line over there in Tampa. They got a really good front seven with guys like Vita Vea, Kalijah Kancey, who they drafted this year. I can't think of the other kid that comes off the edge for their team, but he's another good guy that they got out of Washington a couple years ago. But he's another edge rusher that comes off the edge. And then they still got Barrett that's coming off the other edge. That was a long-time Denver Bronco. So they're loaded on their Shaq Barrett coming off the edge. So they're loaded on their front seven. And I really feel like in this game, we know Todd Bowles likes to show different looks. And in this game, they have a veteran defense over there in Tampa. So I really feel like the strengths of both teams is the defensive side of the ball for the Falcons and for the Buccaneers. So I really feel like it's going to come down to who wins the turnover battle in this game that's going to actually win this game, because I really think it's going to be a defensive struggle early because both teams are really familiar with each other and both teams are really stout on defense. I really think it's going to come down to whichever team doesn't make the big mistakes in crucial moments in this game. But I definitely think we got to get Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson going. I'm not too sure what's going on with Cordell Patterson. We know that he had, I believe, a thigh injury coming into the season, but it just looks like he doesn't have his explosiveness. They haven't really used him that much this season as far as running the ball. So I don't know what's going on with him, but I definitely think that Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier are going to have to be those guys. And let me see if I can get to the super chat here. And my bro, Darius Robinson, that's my brother-in-law. Shout out to you, man. I appreciate the $9.99 super chat. Appreciate that, man. You definitely should have dropped the question in here with your super chat, man. But I appreciate you joining. And let's see here. And y'all start dropping y'all questions in the chat as well. What's y'all thoughts on the game? Give me y'all score predictions. Give me y'all keys to victory. I kind of just ran through it really quick. Like my keys to victory, as I talked about, is going to be locking down Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, eliminating those, those explosive plays. Then the second thing is going to be being able to run the ball with Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson. And then the third key to victory for our Falcons is going to be win the turnover battle. Those are my three keys to victory in this game. But you guys let me know what y'all three keys are. And I see y'all going at it in the chat. Let's see. And y'all let me know if y'all want me to drop the link as well. Because I if you would like to come in here and jump in real quick and just say something. I just ask that you be respectful when you come on. Be respectful of everybody in the chat and stuff like that. But if you guys want me to drop the link, if you got something to say about Desmond Ridder, if you got something to say about the game really quick, I definitely can drop the link if y'all want to say something. I'll let you join me for a little bit. But as all I say is one at a time. So I'm not gonna let everybody in at one time. But if you want to jump in and say something, I definitely can drop the link. So y'all let me know in the chat if y'all want me to drop the link. Let's see here. Dre Murphy, what's going on, man? He says, I hope and pray and wish we get some turnovers and not turn the ball over. Yeah, that's going to be the key in this game. What's lost us the game the last 2 weeks, I talked about it in that Texans game. We had 2 turnovers and we didn't get any turnovers. And we just somehow, some way won the game, against the Texans. But I said usually in the NFL, the team that wins the turnover battle is going to win the game. You turn the ball over, that's a recipe for a disaster when you turning the ball over. Whether you fumbling the ball, whether you throwing an interception, that puts the opposite team usually on a short field, and that eliminates one of your possessions where you can be trying to drive to score a touchdown. So that was pretty much the backbreaker last week. If we don't have those turnovers in last week's game, we win that game against the Commanders. Slim Pickens, what's going on? He says, force long third downs for the offense, make those short routes. We did a good job of getting the Commanders off the field on third down. Yeah, we've been one of the better third down teams as far as defenses in the league this year. So shouts out to the Atlanta Falcons defense. Ryan Nielsen, Jerry Gray, they got these guys playing well. And one of the things that I've been harping on all season long is this team tackles well. That's one of the key recipes for success. If you're a good defense, most good defenses, they're going to tackle in the open field. They're not going to miss a lot of tackles. And if you watch the game closely, I want you guys to watch the game closely tomorrow as far as against the Buccaneers. One thing that I picked up on early this season watching this Falcons team, unlike a lot of the former teams we had in the last couple years, this Falcons team doesn't miss a lot of open field tackles. And that's crucial. The whole teams, and get off the field on third down is being able to tackle somebody short of the sticks in one-on-one situations. Like we have corners. I really feel like we have the best tackling secondary in the league. Guys like Jeff Okudah, AJ Terrell, Jesse Bates, D. Alford, even though he's a smaller player, D. Alford plays like a mini linebacker. That dude comes downhill and he makes tackles. That dude doesn't miss a lot of tackles. So I really feel like that's been crucial for this team this year. And Ali says CP seems to me like a stand-in since he is very versatile anyway, a huge asset and backup as well. Yeah, CP, I don't know what's going on with CP, but I know something's wrong because CP is a walking touchdown. And for them not to even be giving him the ball, whether they're handing him the ball, whether they're throwing him screen passes, he really is only playing special teams. He's only been out on the field maybe like less than 10% of the snaps on Sundays, which is really shocking. But I really think that he's not completely healthy. They're just not saying anything. And Dirty Bird for Life says, key to victory, no interceptions for Ridder. Hey, I really think that that's possible. I really think that that's possible in this game. But even if he does throw an interception in this game, we got to back him up as the defense. That's called complementary football. I don't want him to have any interceptions, but interceptions at times happen, whether it's the quarterback's fault or whether it's a wide receiver running the wrong route, because a lot of the times we put interceptions on the quarterback. But 2 of those interceptions last week, I really feel like guys ran the wrong route. Bijan didn't run that slant route properly. The only one that was on Desmond Ridder was that one that he threw late in the game in the red zone because he just threw the ball up under pressure. And Dre Murphy says, me personally, I say put Jeff Okudah on Mike Evans and AJ Terrell on Chris Godwin. I agree with that. Yeah, I think that they're going to I don't think they're going to have AJ Terrell follow Chris Godwin, to be honest with you. I think if those guys are staying on like one side of the field, I think that Jeff Okudah can guard Chris Godwin because he's physical, his physicality. I don't know if you really want him out in open space a whole lot with Chris Godwin, because Chris Godwin is one of the better route runners. But I think that Jeff Okudah can hold his own with either one of those guys. But if they matching them up and having those guys follow a particular receiver, then I definitely would match it up that way, because Jeff Okudah is a bigger corner, and Mike Evans is one of those guys that's a bigger wide receiver. So I definitely think that that would probably be the matchup if that's what they're doing. And Blanco says, fire Arthur Smith. He's gonna call something stupid with the game on the line. Now I don't think so. I think we good to go. Arthur Smith's one of those guys that's a solid head coach, and he's another guy that's still under process. As I mentioned, the Desmond Ridder was under process. This is Arthur Smith's third year as the head coach for the Falcons, but this is the first year that he actually has weapons. The first couple years, he really didn't have no weapons. So I can't even, say where Arthur Smith is as a coach. I mean, for the first 2 years, he did a remarkable job for what he had. I mean, this dude was playing with backups as his starters for the most part. So we got to give that man his respect for even being competitive. 7-9 and 7-9. You're competing with teams that, had money to pay guys. This is the first season that I'm really looking at Arthur Smith closely. Let's see here. And Mike's funny. He says, anyone wants to join you? Yeah, y'all don't be scared. If y'all want to join me, y'all can definitely join me. I'll drop the link. If somebody want to join, just let me know, and I'll drop the link for a quick second so y'all can come in here. And whether you want to talk about why Desmond Ridder not it, whether you want to just talk about what you think the game's going to look like tomorrow, or whether you just want to come in and ask a live question in front of everybody, it is what it is. But I don't bite, man. If you want to come in here and, you got something to say, you can definitely do it. I'll drop the link for you. Dre says, I just want to see our team whip a team from the pillar to the post a few more times like week one's performance. The solidified playoff team don't go neck and neck with opponents every week. I agree with that statement. I hate watching close games where it's back and forth. And I hate that the NFL usually comes down to one possession games. I hate one possession games because fluky stuff happens, and it's just nerve-wracking to watch games where you're not really dominating. It's going back and forth, and you never know what's going to happen. And my wife said, drop the link and see who about that life. I'm about to drop the link for y'all. Somebody want to come in here? I'm going to drop the link for y'all. Hold on 1 second. All right, let's see here. I should be in the chat. Y'all let me know if y'all see the link. Is the link in there? Yeah, there go the link. So if somebody want to join me, come in here, man, and ask your question. Can y'all still hear me? Hold on 1 second. I got somebody back here with me. Hold on.
What's good, man? Rise up, brothers, rise up.
Yeah, what's going on, bro?
Yeah, what's up? So, yeah, this Johnson from the chat. I just want to say, man, Arthur Smith, he looks like he's in over his head. Hold on, let me turn off the YouTube.
Okay.
Hold up. All right. So, yeah, man, like, I agree with you that this is the first year he has weapons, you know what I mean? But at times he looked in over his head as a head coach and a play caller. His game management looks like shit or looks like crap sometimes, you know what I mean? And it's just like, what is this guy doing? We could kick a field goal. He's trying to run and get the first on 4th down. Like, bro, get the point. We know what I mean? Like we don't have those kind of guys yet. You know what I mean? We don't have those kind of guys to just dominate. So let's get with everything we can. You know what I mean? By the numbers. That's how I feel.
Hey, I completely agree, man. First off, I appreciate you joining me, man. Like I definitely agree. I said this on the after show last week. Like, why would you go for 2 in that situation when you're down 14, kick the field goal, and then you're still down 7? Just go back and score another touchdown, kick a field goal. So in that situation, I agree. That was a bad decision. I completely agree with you.
But how many times have we seen this though for the past like 3 years, bro? Like every time there's like a situation where it's like, why are you gonna go for it? He's very aggressive. Like I don't mind it, but we don't have those guys. We got right now we don't, but we've had bottom of the barrel guys. You know what I mean? And he tries to get cute with it. You know what I mean? Like don't be cute, brother. Just win. You know what I mean? Let's win this shit stuff. You know? Like crazy.
I completely agree with you. But this is what I'll say. And I try not to be like a fan that if something doesn't happen, be that fan that like gets on the coach for every single thing, because it's like if it works, you're a genius. If it doesn't work, you're a dummy or you're an idiot. You know what I'm saying? So I try not to be that armchair quarterback, because in certain situations, you know, we call Riverboat Ron, they gamble and it works. So what it tells me is it gives your players confidence, because of course Desmond Ridder and those guys, they know that he believes in them because he puts them in those type of tough situations. Personally, I don't agree with it. I would have kicked the field goal in that situation, because it's like, okay, we didn't get it. So now we were down 8. So if we would have scored again, we still would have had to get a 2-point conversion. And you heard Matt Ryan on the telecast saying, how many 2-point conversion plays do you have in your playbook? So I feel like you only go for 2 when you have to. So I completely agree with that statement. In that situation, that was a boneheaded move. But if it works, yeah, you're a genius at that point. I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah. I mean, I do love the defense. You know, all last year I was like, man, I just want a top 10 defense. Like I'll give up everything for a top 10. And it looks like we got that. You know what I mean? And now I'm like, damn, the offense now. You know, but we got that defense. You know, that's what I love. You know, we dogs out there.
I mean, to be honest with you, I think that our offense will be straight as well. We definitely been struggling on defense, and now it's kind of like, dang, now when our defense start performing, our offense is kind of struggling. But I feel like you give me your perspective on the offense. Like personally, I think the last 2 weeks I've seen improvement. Do you feel like you've seen them improve, or do you think we still looking bottom of the barrel?
No, Desmond played really well actually in Washington. You know what I mean? I call that against the coach. You know what I mean? Desmond he played lights out, damn near. You know, if we hit the calls were right, or if things would have went our way, we would have fucking dominated that game. We should have. You know what I mean? I think Desmond has it in him. He's still really young. You know what I mean? That's like we don't know what he is yet. You know what I mean? Honestly, we don't. You know, I'll settle for a Russell Wilson in his early days. You know what I mean? Or whatever. You know, like fuck it. I mean, you know, I'll take that. My bad. I'm talking to my question so much.
No, you good, man. I want to ask one more question. One more question, then I'm gonna let somebody else come in. So, what do you feel about this game against the Commanders? Like, what's your confidence level, or what you think we need to do in this game to like beat the Commanders, like on the offense and the defense? Give me your perspective on the game.
Talking about the Bucs, right? The next game.
All right, the Bucs. Yeah, the Bucs. Yeah, the Bucs.
Yeah. It really is just that defense that scares me. Not scares me, but if we can control that defense and keep that pressure off of us, I think we'll have a good game. You know what I mean? We'll be able to toss, you know, at least run and then run the ball and don't get no pressure. I think that will be it. It'll be all us. Because our defense, they'll lock down Baker Mayfield, you know, but as far as the offense, we just need no pressure or as limited pressure as we can. Put Keith Smith back there, put more people, you know. More like bigger packages, you know, and I think we'll be all right, especially with the run game.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I think Smith, I said this on Wednesday night show. I don't know if you were watching the heavy hitter show, but I said we got to bring Keith Smith in there, like more I formations, more of those stretch zone plays, because he takes linebackers. Yeah. Like Keith Smith is a guy that's going to take one guy out when you got a running back running directly behind him. So I definitely think he can help in pass protection, like you talked about. And he can help in the running game. Like people saying why our running game is struggling, I feel like our packages are not the right packages or what we're running out of. We got to be better.
Right.
The pistol last year, use it. Like we got to use that pistol, man. I really think those stretch zone runs really help.
Yep. All right, brother. I'll get at you. I'm gonna watch. Let somebody else hop in.
All right, man. I appreciate you coming.
Yep. All right.
All right. All right, man. Now we got one to join me. Hey, who else want to jump into the chat and say something real quick? Like I said, man, I'll give y'all like we got maybe like another 15 minutes. So if somebody want to jump in and y'all want to say something, definitely hit that link. All right, man. Let's see. All right, it's my brother. What's going on, Kay?
Hey, what it do, homie? What's going on, man? Hey, man, y'all make sure y'all hit that like button and hit that subscribe button for your boy G.
Yeah, man. I'm trying to do I'm trying to do my own Martin Lawrence call-in radio show, man. Look, y'all hit that link, man. Don't be scared. Come in here. We want to hear your perspective. Y'all get tired
Exactly.
of hearing us talk. We want to hear what y'all
Uh,
got. What you got for me, Kay?
hey, man, hey, look. Like Blanco said, man. Hey, shout out to him. Like at the end of the day, with this game, for me personally, I say this is a must-win game right here. Only for the simple fact on the mental side more so than the football side, if you feel what I'm saying.
I agree with you.
Um, Pretty much, like you said, turnovers. They say you control the turnovers, win the turnover battle. This will be a game that can be easily won. Just control the tempo. Like I want to keep it short and sweet for you, boy.
Nah, you good, man. I completely agree. Like, who you think the X factor in this game, Kay? On offense and on defense, who would be your X factor for this game?
Offensively, offensively is going to have to be. I would say you probably be surprised if I say this, but I think Cordero Patterson is gonna have to be the X factor in this game.
Okay.
Offensively and defensively, I'm looking more so of I'll say Jesse Bates.
Jesse Bates. Okay. Yeah, I definitely can see Jesse Bates being that. Before you hop out, Kay, I want to know you think Cordell Patterson is healthy, man? I don't know what's going on with him. He one of my favorite players on this team, but for whatever reason, I haven't really seen that explosiveness when they give him the ball. It's like I haven't seen that Cordero of the last couple years.
I mean, like you said, he's getting back into the rhythm of things, and then you also have to think about it too. Like you said, when you got Bijan Robinson and you got Tyler Algier, it would like drafting Bijan Robinson was already going to make it tough, especially for him to kind of get that kind of looks out of the backfield. But the
Right,
thing about it is, the last couple of weeks, a lot of folks haven't really been paying attention to it. They've been using him more so as a wide receiver.
right.
Um, like you said, you got Drake London, you got Mac Hollins, Kyle Pitts, and they have had pretty good games so far. But I think just that X factor, that Joker, like I said, Cordero Patterson is going to have to be key here because that is a wrinkle that's already been here. Yet at the same time, it's somebody that we haven't seen as much.
Right. So look, maybe Arthur Smith is a genius and smarter than we think he is, and maybe he just holding CP for later on in the season, the second half of the season, because we know he's went down with injury when we kind of gave him a heavy load the first couple weeks. He go down with some type of injury. So look, maybe he's smarter than people really think. He could be just completely healthy and just holding that trump card in his hand.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that is true too. But like you said, just like the main thing with the offense is they just have to go back to the basics, keep it simple.
Most definitely.
Um, like you said, you've had the last couple weeks where, like I said, you wanted to establish the passing game. The first few weeks you wanted to establish the run game. As we already know with Todd Bowles, like I said, majority of what they're gonna do is they're gonna bring nine in the box. They're gonna blitz
Pressure.
the A gap. They're gonna blitz the A gap all day. So it's just gonna have to come down to Ridder putting this pass game behind him and showing that mental moxie, see if he can put it behind him and put together a good game.
I completely agree, man. You want to give a score prediction, or you just gonna leave it at that?
I ain't putting no damn score prediction. I like I said, the Falcons just need to do their damn job and win the game. That's all I can say.
Discipline. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you joining me, man. I'm
All
gonna let
right.
somebody else hop in here, man. But I appreciate it.
All right, man. Do your thing, man. Hey, y'all make sure y'all hit that subscribe button with you talk sports, man.
Yeah, not only for me, man. Y'all make sure y'all hit that subscribe button on Six Man K Styles. He on this radar. What's you on your way to 2,000 at this point? 2K.
We the next goal is 1,400 right now.
Y'all get my bro to 1,400, man. Y'all go over there right now, hit that like and hit that subscribe button, and also hit that notification bell because he live. Look, this is one of the hardest working man in the business, man. He do a live show almost every night, him and Mike. So y'all definitely hit that like and subscribe button for your boy.
And we do a
All right,
lot of stuff behind the scenes. All right, man.
all right. I appreciate you, bro. Yo,
What's happening? What's happening? What's happening, people?
this the other 1/3 of the heavy hitter. What's going on?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
This is right here, my mentor, as I always say, the OG, the one who gave me a platform. So I definitely appreciate you, bro, joining. And what you got to tell the people, man? Go ahead and let them know what time it is, man.
I'm a God-fearing man, people. I'm not mean. I'm not an angry soul. I'm actually I'm a loving soul. I'm a lover. I'm not a fighter. And I fight for my Falcons, but that's about it, man. I'm a loving soul. But
That's
outside of that, man, I think when it comes down to this Falcons team, man, it's about patience. Um, I stated earlier was that last night it's like the Falcons. It's to a point now where I'm looking at the numbers. Are the numbers are better than most people may think. That's the thing. It comes down just to turnovers. We have critical turnovers, and critical penalties. Penalties with Jake Matthews, Drew Dahlman, even Chris Lindstrom at some point had a critical uh, uh, penalty. So I think just the Falcons just make the wrong mistakes. And as far as Arthur Smith and his play calling, I don't think his play calling is bad. It's just those critical moments where he leave you scratching your head. It's like for the most part, man, you can't be a bad play caller when your offense is, ranked in the top 15. It's just not true. So he's doing a wonderful job, but it just comes down to executing and stopping, those critical mistakes, critical situations.
I completely agree, man. I was trying to pull up the numbers while you was talking because I was like, let me pull up
hmm
the numbers so I can get them the numbers here. But yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. If you would have who's like your X factor in this game, Mike? Who you got on the offensive side of the ball? Who you think is going to be one of the X factors? K said CP he think is going to be the X factor on offense and Jesse Bates on defense.
Man, I'm gonna say something, man. Like this. I think I think it may be Bijan and Tyler. I think this is a game just made tailor made for those guys. Um, looking at the Bucks defense, they've been giving up quite a few yards on the ground, but that's largely due to the fact that Vita Vea is a very good defensive tackle, but I think he's a bit overrated. Like, he makes a ton of money, but he doesn't always make those big plays. When he needs to, when he needs to step up and make a big play, Vita Vea doesn't. He doesn't step up. So I think the Falcons running game is going to get off this week, and you may see a three-headed monster. You might see that triple threat, that CP, Bijan, and Tyler Algier this game. So I'm going to say all three of those guys. I think every last one of those guys is going to be critical. Again, but the Falcons average somewhere 4.5 yards on first down. All right, with the running game, they get somewhere between first four on the first down, somewhere in between 4 yards to 5 yards a carry. I think this is the Falcons are going to run away with this game.
And how about on the defensive side? Who you think going to be the X factor for the defense? Or is
Man,
it
I
like
got a weird feeling. I got a weird feeling about defense. I think Richie Grant is going to step up because he's been getting.
okay?
Look, they coming for his job. I'm just gonna be real. They coming for his job. Abernathy, um,
Helen,
Hitman Hillams, like those
DeMarco.
guys coming for his job. So if I think I have a weird feeling he's gonna it start to show something. And if I'm wrong on this, he's out. But I think he's a competitor. I think he's always in the right place, but for whatever reason, he's always a step slow. That's just been his issue. He sees it, but he's always a step slow. So I think he's gonna be. I think he's gonna play a big part, a huge part of what this Falcons. Because if we have Helms and he performs well in this game, because he's going to get opportunities. Yeah, I say Richie Grant, man. I really think he's going to show himself in this game.
Yeah, man, I agree. I hope you know how I felt about Richie Grant coming out of the
Oh
draft,
yeah,
at UCF, and my biggest issue with him, he missed a big tackle last week. So that was my biggest issue.
yes.
I don't even care so much that he not getting interceptions. It's just like you can't miss tackles, period. In open field, we just seen, if you watched the Thursday night game, I think it was Christian Kirk had a little short little slant route
Yeah.
to the
Mm-hmm.
house on like a 40-some yard, and the guys just took terrible angles on the Saints. I mean, I was happy
Mm-hmm.
about it. You know how we feel about
Right.
I was just like, that's the kind of stuff I hate to see when on for defense. It's like you let a guy catch a 5-yard pass and he run, cut up the field, and you got all
Mhm.
these guys out in front of him, and nobody can take the right angle to tackle this dude.
And those are the small intricate details of football that we talk about. It's like taking the right angles, being a step slow, tackling. Like those things are huge. And those you always say those are 3 or 4 plays during the game that cost you the game or win you the game. Those are vital.
I completely agree, man. I know you don't do score predictions. You're not big on that. So look, I just hope we can get the win. As case of this,
Yeah,
I
we
agree.
just get the win. Yeah, I don't care too much about predictions, but I have a good feeling about this. I have a good feeling about it. The Falcons are in a place where they can take the number one spot, and I think this win is going to calm down the entire fan base. I think this win we go take care of business in the South, and that's what we always say. You take care of your division. You take care of home.
Hmm.
You're in a good place. You're in a good place.
And we got a lot of our games in the NFC South, South on the back half of the. Like we only played one game so far in the South, so we still got two against the Saints, two
Hmm.
against the Bucks. So we right there and one more against the Panthers. So everything is out in front of us. Like we control our own destiny. But what I'm not a
Hmm.
fan of is, all right, let's hope this team lose and then this. Nah, we just handle your business. As K Style said, I don't want
Hmm.
to be the year talking about if this team tie and if this team beat this team for us. Now we got to beat the team that we need to beat to get there. So if we want the South
Hmm.
to be the best, what we got to do, Mike?
You got to beat the best.
That's it.
Woo!
That's it, man. So, hey, man, I appreciate you joining. Y'all definitely hit that like
Appreciate it.
button for my bro, Bad Mike. I think he on his quest. What 9K or 10K
Yep,
at this?
I'm about 40 something away from that. So yeah,
All
I'm gonna start putting out more content, a lot more. But I appreciate you having us on, brother.
Hey, man, I appreciate you joining me, man. Like I said, I was just happy to see somebody hit the link. I'm like, look, man, don't be scared, man. Come
Don't
on
be afraid. We
here,
just
man.
want to ask questions and get you guys take on things. Blanco, I'm gonna take you up on that offer. Okay, you will have your chance to debate me.
Hey, man, look, that's what we like. If y'all want to know why
Mhm.
we ask questions, I keep telling the fans we ask questions because we want to hear your perspective.
That's it. That's all. That's
If
all.
you got something you want to say, we just want to hear the reason of why you think the way you think. If you can explain it, hey, look, more love and more power to you. Just come on here and tell the people why you feel the way you feel. We'll give you
Yes,
the
sir.
platform to do it.
Hmm. I
I-
appreciate it. Y'all hit that subscribe button, man. I'm gonna get right back in the chat. I appreciate it. Y'all hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and throw the man a $5. Look, all he asking for, all right, is a Popeyes chicken dinner. I know y'all can get a man a Popeyes chicken dinner. $5, okay?
that-
$5.
that's all we want. Just like a little.
That's it.
Look, we just want a $5 box, man. That's all we asking for.
That's it. $5, man. Find it in your heart to get a minister of $5. I mean, donate to the church, okay? Donate to the church $5, okay? Thank you. I'm
All
out.
right, all right, bro, man. I'll holler at you. I appreciate you joining. All right, man. So, does anybody else want to join before we close out the show? But look, I went over just a little bit, but I try not to go over an hour. But we at 6:15, so we started at 5 o'clock sharp. So does anybody else want to jump in? Somebody say, what's the Cash App? Cash App is at Jew Talk Sports. So it's just Jew Talk Sports. So if y'all want to send a Cash App, Jew Talk Sports, everything is Jew Talk Sports. So I appreciate that. Liquors with Lenore. He said, what's the Cash App? And I'll put it next time, I'll put it in the banner below. But it's just Jew Talk Sports. If y'all want to send a Cash App, y'all can send that to the Cash App, man. But I appreciate each and every one of you guys. And let me go back in the chat real quick. And shouts out to Anthony White. He says offensive line has to open those lanes in the run game tomorrow. They've been slacking last few weeks. Offense has to get back in balance. Great job, Jew. Yeah, I completely agree. We have to be balanced. Balance is key. We got to stay balanced in this game. Last week we got out of balance. We had 47 passes to like 20 something runs. And I just feel like in this game, and y'all have heard me say this, and you heard Mike say this numerous times. And Mike put it in the chat for you guys for the Cash App. There you go. $ Jew Talk Sports. I say it in pretty much all of my videos. So if y'all want to know my Cash App, click on any video that I've done. It's gonna say the Cash App $ Jew Talk Sports. So I really appreciate you guys. But as I mentioned, yeah, you've heard K Styles, you heard Mike, you've heard me say you can't get out of balance. You don't want to be one dimensional. You gotta be able to run the ball, gotta be able to pass the ball. But even if you're not running the ball for a ton of yards per carry, you still got to do it. You still got to feed Tyler Algier. I'm telling you, in the first half, those 1 and 2 yard gains in the second half become 5, 6, 7 yard gains because those guys get fatigued. Those guys in the trenches get fatigued. Those linebackers get fatigued over time. So you want to keep hitting those guys with those body blows. So even if you're not running the ball for a lot of yards early in the game, Arthur Smith got to stick with it. Keep feeding them. And shouts out to DirtyBird for life. He says, Popeye's chicken sandwich on me, Jew. Hey, y'all might get me. Y'all might take my black card for this, man. But I still ain't had no Popeye's chicken sandwich. I remember when people was waiting around the corner, the building be wrapped around the building for those Popeye's chicken sandwiches. But I might just have to take you up on that DirtyBird for life. But I love me some Popeyes. So I appreciate you guys, man, with the super chat. I appreciate that super chat. And Liquors with Noah says, sent 100. Hey, man, I appreciate you, Liquors with the Noah. We appreciate, man, the cash apps, the super chats. Everything goes to putting back into the channel, man. Continue to give you guys great content. But let's see here. Dirty Bird for Life says, Jew, do we have to make the playoffs for Arthur Smith to keep his job? No, we don't have to make the playoffs for him to keep his job. I really feel like Arthur Smith is going to be here. I think he signed a 4-year contract when he was hired with Terry Fontenot. So I think they're going to see that contract out. So I think by next year, he has to get us to the playoffs by next year, not this year. A lot of people thinking that he's on a hot seat. I really don't think that Arthur Smith at this point is on a hot seat because he hasn't had weapons. I keep saying it. The first 2 years, he really didn't have any weapons. If he would have came in and had a bona fide, a guy that he brought in, quarterback that he brought in and had Terry Fontenot had money to actually spend. If you guys remember, I think last year we had the biggest cap hit in NFL history. We had a crazy cap hit when we traded Matt Ryan, traded Julio Jones, and then Calvin Ridley ended up being traded as well. So our cap was crazy. Our cap number was crazy the last couple of years. So we didn't have no money. We had to sign, 1-year deals pretty much for all of the guys that we had. And a lot of those guys were rotational guys that actually had to be starters. And then we had a lot of rookies. Richie Grant had to play a lot. Jalen Hawkins played a lot early. We had a lot of those guys that had to come in and be starters right off the bat because we didn't have the money to keep guys or even bring in new talent. So this is the first year you actually seen they starting to basically move on for the Arthur Smith and the last regime. Move on from the Dan Quinn and Thomas Dimitroff players. Like we've seen them kind of cut a lot of those guys, and they're now bringing in guys that fit their scheme. So I don't think that Arthur Smith has to win this year. And with that being said, man, we're going to get ready to wrap it up, man. But I appreciate each and every one of you guys for continuing to support the channel, continuing to hit that like button, hitting that subscribe button, sharing out my content. If you guys enjoy the content and you haven't hit that subscribe button, hit that subscribe button for your boy. Make sure when you guys watch the videos as well, hit the like button, because that gets the algorithm going, where a lot of more people can view my channel and view the view the videos and stuff like that. But I appreciate each and every one of you guys. This is a huge divisional matchup coming Sunday with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm looking forward to it tomorrow. Of course, you guys are going to want to join us on the Heavy Hitters Live channel, which is the after show. So y'all definitely join us over there. And also come back to my channel, because I always usually do a post-game, little short video, post-game video on my channel as well. But immediately after the game, usually we go live and we talk about, our thoughts from the game and things of that nature. So hopefully we're talking about our Atlanta Falcons being in first place in the NFC South. As you guys know, if we win tomorrow and if we win our division, we get a home playoff game. First game of the playoffs will be at home. So this is a huge game for the Atlanta Falcons, because we haven't won. Desmond Ridder hasn't won on the road yet as a starter, and we struggled to win on the road lately, as of late, between last year and this year. We haven't won a road game so far this season. So this is going to be a huge divisional matchup. And as I said, you win your division. That's the first goal when you come into a season. Win your division. Then after that, once you win your division, win as many games as possible to get a higher seed. But at this point, we're just trying to win this division so we can get that home playoff game. But with that being said, it's been your boy Jew. I have a lot more content coming for you guys. But as always, Falcons Nation, rise up, be blessed, peace.